Okay, it is January 14, 2020. I have three stocks on the main list. These are all listed stocks. CNETs ran just a few days ago, so it's not really the best charts. It had a spike in the morning, the market opened, and it rejected that very strong level of resistance at 330. Was not able to break past it. DBW was looking at a head and shoulders for a potential short. Didn't make the right shoulder, it just downtrended. Maybe I'll be interested in shorting this stock, but not too much. It did have a big volume day before. There could be bank holders selling into this, but I've seen much worse charts. It does show that it can spike and then fail immediately, if not almost immediately. It is something I'll be considering for a short, but not too much. EXPR, potential inverse head and shoulders. Again, not a really good long-term chart. Lots of volume traded as well. I've added a lot of OTCs on the other screen for number 5 setups. Right now, no clear setups to trade. Alright, 9:41 a.m. TLSS is just too freaking cheap. It's a bit scary. Don't have much experience with this. I would be considering number 5 setup for this. It's just so cheap. I don't like it. I'll keep watching this. I probably won't trade it. I mean, I'm already putting myself out there trading OTCs, but OTCs that are 7 pennies is just even scarier. Okay, it's 9:43. It's just a big seller on the ask, which is pretty damn scary. I mean, he could crack easily, but I don't have much experience. We also have now somebody on the bid that is pretty big too. I don't know if the ask will be taken out. A lot of people dumped their shares on the bid, exactly the same size here, but it held. I'll keep watching. This doesn't look like a very bullish candle, but I'll gladly miss this one. Just watch. Number 5 setup on the 7 penny stock. 13,000 shares. There's a lot of people dumping their shares on the bid, and that person in the ask is still there. We're down 20% on the day, and the overall markets are just a little up, so it's not like it's really affecting this. Despite that big person on the ask, it's still uptrending. We have an even bigger guy on the bid. I pretty much missed this one. I have here at 7.2, but there's nothing wrong with watching and learning from it. Really hate OTCs, but if these are the only ones that are making the nice moves, I have to trade them. I just can't be such a crybaby about it. We're at 7.3 on the ask. Is anybody gonna take it? Yep. I'll make an update later. Could have traded this in theory. I just hate these little 7 penny stocks. I just really want to watch it and see how they trade at this price range. We'll see if this eventually works out. Even if it doesn't, I mean, I should still try considering these. Reminds me a lot of AOPP. Despite the price. The problem with AOPP is that it was doing the same thing that we're seeing here, which is kind of why I didn't trade. A big, at least in AOPP's case, a big 10,000 share person on the ask that would not be broken, and then lots of dumping on the bid that eventually led it to do a fake out. It would fall again and then make a new low, or sometimes double bottom, and then it would actually bounce. I know every stock is different in that sense, but kind of gave me vibes of AOPP. I'll keep watching. It dropped very nicely. I'll make an update later, but it looks like it might work out, or at least a lot higher than 772 right now at 74 on the ask. We'll take a look. Okay, so it's 951. It is at 77, which is pretty nice. And one of the things that I'm really learning from this, especially with stocks this cheap, is that the size on the bid and ask almost doesn't matter at all. I mean, I know that never really mattered, but if you see like a 500,000, person, or even a 10,000 person, you don't know how much size they have. What I've seen is continuous continuous dumping on the bid, and it just keeps going. Like, you see so much dumping on the bid, and then just a few buys on the ask, and it pushes it to the next price. It shows you how little you should really care about the size, or if you see a lot of dumping on the bid or ask, you need to look more at the chart pattern than the price action on level 2, because it matters if you see, like right here, a bunch of different market makers on the bid like this compared to the ask. But if you see a lot of dumping like it is kind of right now, it almost doesn't matter as much as you think it would, or at least on a normal stock. You see this 12,000, 200,000. You see 100. Is this 100? Yeah, 100,000 shares. It doesn't change it at all. You don't know how much size people are trading. You should really just focus on how many people. At least it seems like it, but I'll make adjustments. But how many people? Although I'd be selling now because this is the first solid candle that formed. How many market makers are there? This is what it seems like so far. I mean, 72 to 78. That's almost 10%. It could keep going, but I would probably be selling. Even if I somehow held through all of this, right? I would be selling it because of this first solid red candle. Nice spike all the way to 8. Now it's over a 10% move. Yeah, I think you should almost just focus more on the chart pattern than the level 2, because this is what scared me. Like, a lot of big people dumping their shares on the ask, and like just zero cares what just nobody would care, and then a few buys on the ask, and it uptrends like the way it does. So very impressive. I'll keep making an update on that stock. EXPR fading. DPW, no inverse head and shoulders. Spaghetti monster. CNET making lower highs. Not something I really want to short. The only short would have been spooky, but right at the market open, risking off 330, because that was a level it struggled with previously. I'll definitely keep looking. I definitely learning a lot from this. Okay, it's 10:01 a.m. DTSS was looking like it was gonna try to break the day high, but I wouldn't have been interested unless it does confirmed breakout. It just looks scary, and I'm not saying that because it just had that downtrend, but it's just something I don't want to trade. TLSS is at 8 pennies, which is impressive. Again, I would have sold if I have somehow held like all the way through this. I would have sold into that first red candle. OTCs tend to be very, very, I guess, almost elementary in terms of how they trade. Much simpler than not OTCs, NASDAQ stocks, listed stocks. DPW isn't doing much, but I'll save it. Maybe it can pull up an inverse head and shoulders. No real setups right now, although I added these 2 stocks just now. Didn't really have too much time to react to this. But OGEN does have a level of support from like the 14s to the 17s. That could be a dip buy. The problem is that I did not do it because there was too many people on the ask. It could still do it, but for that reason I didn't go long in there when it looked like that maybe it was going to hold that level and maybe continue the uptrend. it can still do it. Technical analysis doesn't have to be perfect, but at least that's what I saw. Yeah, I'll keep looking. Okay, it's 10:13. DPW might do. It might do it. It still has to move a lot if it will, but it might do an inverse head and shoulders, kind of like GOVX a few days ago that I missed because I started working on my business, replying to messages instead of looking at charts, and it will do some kind of like of a curving action, not really a clear shoulder. Of course, I'd have to spike to the 590s and do that, but based off the left shoulder, it looks like it might do something like that if it were to do it. DTSS could be working towards putting up higher lows, a breakout over the day high. Just too scary for me to want to trade it, but I think I should start, being less scared. I was right on TLSS. I mean, it's a consistent pattern. Didn't know how I would do with this price action. It wasn't too bad that I didn't trade because I learned a lot about the price action. Of course, it might not be the same stock to stock, but you can learn something from it. It might try to do a breakout towards the day high. It's not a clear level of resistance. We will have some at 5, but that's a while away. Now I guess 450 from the level here, perhaps. We'll see. And also, these things just look sketchy. It could still do it, but reminds me of that other stock that was doing that uptrend towards the level, and it had that big red candle, and then it did it again with another big red candle. Could still do it though. This could be an inverse head and shoulders that I could trade. Pretty impressive again with TLSS. No updates in terms of what I'm gonna trade, but is it OGN? No, it's DPW. Potential inverse head and shoulders. Okay, it's 10:33 a.m. DTSS, red candle here, picked up slowly but surely, did the breakout. So I bet a lot of people were right on the setup, not the timing. I wasn't interested in buying it when it was here, just because it looked sketchy. It did have that red candle, but maybe I should have given it a chance here. The thing is that I didn't see this until later, until it was in this candle where it was already breaking out. So I didn't have too much of a time to get in the setup for a buy, and then it would be a very simple buy here, and I guess risk off the 20s level. If it fails and goes to the 20s, it'll be a cushion. It just won't drop to 380, at least not hopefully. I'm going to drop to 380 in just one big candle, but actually provide a chance to get out, even though it's risking 5%, which I don't like. Again, as high as 516. Price action definitely showed what appeared to be shorts getting squeezed, getting out of their positions. Very impressive movement overall. Just wasn't there for it when it happened. Nice to see it, eventually do it after the big red candle. Took a little longer than expected. Wow. TLSS is right at the level. It might even be a double bottom, but that's not something that I really see too often with OTC. So double bottom after a number 5 right at the lows. Level 2 is different. Shows a lot of people on the ask, not really caring about the size, just the amount of people on the ask. But this looks kind of impressive. I'll watch and see how it does. This is definitely sketchier than the other setup. The other setup was sketchy to me because I didn't know too much about how prices this cheap will trade. It wasn't that bad actually. It was pretty good. Could have bought, but I learned a lot from it. So the next time I see a 7 cent, stock do a potential number 5, I'll be more likely to trade it. Yeah. Very nice TLSS holding the 480s. We'll see how long it might do a follow-up breakout. Maybe kind of like a flag setup. DPW never did the inverse head and shoulders. This is the one I was looking at the most. It didn't do that uptrend towards the 590s. For that reason, it's not a trade. Yeah, not a trade there. OGEN failed to hold that 112 level. I guess in theory could have been a short at this bounce right here. I don't know, but you live and learn. I don't want to really be short stocks, but this is impressive. 108 to 96. And Mr. Bingo, I have some interest in it. Really wanted it to drop lower towards the 580s, or maybe even $6 for a dip buy. It gets as high as here, downtrends as low as 6. Right at a support level, multiple support levels, and then maybe a spike, maybe halfway, a quarter, 3/4 at the previous high, or maybe it cracks it. Instead it did it right here based off of this previous range right here. I wasn't able to find 612 to be too important on the multi-day chart. Yeah, not really. This not exact here. I really would just base it off of this right here. Didn't bounce too much. That's because I would have liked it to have dropped more. That's all I have. I'll keep watching. I'll see what happens to the other stocks, if they play out or not. Definitely interested to see if this will bounce, although I won't trade this for sure. I'll keep looking. It's almost 10:40, but I'll look just a little longer. Okay, it is 1:25 p.m. No, I have not been looking at the markets since the last video. I did take things off a few notches. Just wanted to know that BNGO eventually did do a intraday breakout over the level from the market open at 675. I saw it around here. I saw a head and shoulders. Didn't really like it. I've been wrong with this setup so many times. This one actually worked out, and it's probably because it held the breakout level. At least in my notes on the other screen, I have a 610 price target of a range breakout. So the issue was that I wanted to look at this maybe at the 580s instead, but I guess it makes more sense for it to drop and hold its breakout level of 610 to be more positive in terms of probability of it breaking out and continuing the rest of the day. So it held 610 very nicely. As you can tell, this was the initial breakout over the level. We had a few wicks right here, and then on top of that, well, we had a wick here, but it was much shorter than these, so it kind of shows that there might be a potential of an uptrend. I'd say right about here is when there could be something in terms of entry point, although the head and shoulders here might have scared me off, but it continued to do a nice uptrend, putting up higher lows, a nice run up over now officially the highs right there, 670s to 7, another dip right at the level, which is pretty impressive. This is a confirmed breakout. Just overall a really nice setup, and the difference between this and the last trade I have with BNGO is that it was already up on the day, so this was very positive. 720 was a breakout level from the 4th, which is impressive too. I didn't notice that till now. This stock has provided itself so many confirmed breakouts, uptrending, higher low, higher high setups. Just gonna really take a screenshot of this so I can look back at it, towards from now and towards the future, just to remind myself of what a really nice setup is. OGEN had that movement, didn't hold the 112s, faded, that was the rest for that. DPW didn't do anything I like, didn't make the inverse head and shoulders that I wanted. Yeah, unless you wanted to count head, shoulder, but that's pretty lame. Not much range either. DTSS, yeah, it did do a breakout here. I think I missed this. Yeah, I definitely think I missed it, but it did a nice breakout from the 440s to 571. That's a pretty nice one. And then here it's not really, kind of holding the level right here, this range right here. It is holding it, although that's not the best looking candle for something that we're looking at here with BNGO. TLSS was a nice number 5. When I saw the double bottom potential here, I just didn't buy because that's not really a setup to look after. Really, it's just a number 5. It did get as high as 82, which is impressive. You know, the double bottom failed. Nice downtrend of 5. Wouldn't have bought this, although it did go from 5 to 6, eventually the 7. But I really like the number 5, how well it worked when it was at the time a 7 penny stock. If I see something else like this, I'll definitely consider it. Overall, a good trading day. Lots of nice setups with BNGO. Perhaps I should have been more focused on BNGO. TLSS, nice number 7. Nice breakout with DTSS. Yeah, just overall a pretty good day. Gonna keep learning from it. I already took a screenshot of the BNGO chart, and yeah, I'm just gonna call it off right here. Just a pretty good day, a lot of learning.